shown this to law enforcement officer witnesses. Whether that violates the order or not, again, I'm not reading in detail Judge Fleet's order. I don't know that any party was precluded from showing it to witnesses in its investigative capacity. The import of my order, when I spoke to both sides about it after I got the case, was that to assure that the public didn't see this, and I think my order recites that only the court reporter, the lawyers, the witnesses, and the jury would see it in court. And of course, right now the audio portions are for public consumption. But that being said, what has happened, and the record will speak for itself. But based on this, what's been presented this morning, I'll respectfully deny your suggestion for a mistrial at this point.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That being said, I think your record is protected. Anything more you want to put on the record with respect to that?
No, sir. Thank you very much for allowing us to express our concern.
Okay, and are we ready to begin otherwise?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, bring in our jury, please.
Jay, you can sit back. Oh, okay. Thank you.
They're all yours. I'm not allowed to start off.
Yeah, you can have one.
I didn't know they paid it.
Ready, Judge?
Yes, sir.
All rise. You're in.
Yep. Yep. Sure do.
Our jury is in the courtroom seated, and the counsel present, please be seated. Good morning. We're ready to begin. I'm sorry we're starting a bit late. We've had a procedural matter. A difficult question. Was anybody exposed to anything in any way, shape, or form outside the courtroom? All right, ready to begin.
Danielle Larkin. Stand right here, please.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this cause to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self you got? I do.
No, right this way, please. Yeah.
Please slide up a bit closer and tell us your full name and spell both first name and last name, please.
Danielle Larkin. D-A-N-I-E.
How long have you been employed by Tampa Police Department in that capacity?
About a year and a half.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
These are in evidence.
Yes, sir.
These are the photographs that I took.
Thank you. And I want to show you an additional 2 photographs that have yet to be introduced into evidence. I have marked them separately as P28 and P29. Having shown them to counsel, I'm going to approach and show these to you and ask you if these are 2 additional photographs of the top or exterior roof of that red Camry as it appears at the TPD impound lot during your processing of the vehicle.
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, move states P28 and P29 into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
They'll be received.
During the processing of the vehicle, did you attempt to locate, lift, and preserve fingerprints from the surfaces of the vehicle and contents within the vehicle?
Yes.
Can you describe for the jury, please, the process you used in trying to locate and preserve fingerprints from the surfaces of the vehicle and contents of the vehicle?
During this process, I used a black powder, graphite powder, and a fingerprint brush. I applied that to the surfaces of the vehicle. I looked for any type of detail that became visible because of the powder, and then I would apply a tape over it and then lift that and put that onto a card.
Now, in your capacity as a crime scene technician on that date, and during your entire 5 years, were you responsible for trying to make any type of comparisons of fingerprints that you collected and preserved in your work?
No, that's not in my job duties.
Okay. Does and did TPD in 2010 have separate personnel responsible for and assigned to the identification of latent fingerprints lifted from any scene?
Yes, they do.
Do you have an idea for the jury approximately how much time you spent processing this vehicle that day?
I believe I was there for 3 to 4 hours.
Okay. And ma'am, did you generate, well, first let me ask you this. During the course of any given work week as a crime scene technician, would you process a number of different scenes involved in a number of different unrelated investigations?
Yes.
So to keep your work separate and to document your work on any specific case, would you generate a report outlining your work in a given investigation?
It would be a supplement to the original report.
Okay. And would your supplement indicate in detail the areas that you attempted, for instance, in this case, to identify and lift fingerprints from?
Yes.
And did you prepare such a supplement in this case?
Yes, I did.
And would referring to that supplement assist you in your recollection of the specific areas and whether you were successful and not in, say, lifting and preserving fingerprints?
Yes.
Do you have one with you?
I do have a copy of the report.
And if you need to at any time in my specific question to refer to that, please feel free to do so, ma'am. Did you attempt to lift any fingerprints from the driver's side front door?
Yes, I did.
Were you able to?
I would have to refer to my report.
Please feel free to do so, ma'am.
driver's side front door, I lifted 2 prints. 2 latent prints.
And although that phrase may be self-explanatory, does this photograph P3 show at least a view of, from some distance, the driver's side of that vehicle?
Yes, it does.
Now, did you take photographs of each print that you lifted?
No, I did not.
Okay, just general locations of the vehicle?
Correct.
Okay. Well, let me leave this on the P3 on the screen. Did you also process essentially that entire driver's side looking for fingerprints?
Yes, I did.
And in fact, did you look throughout the entire exterior of the vehicle to determine whether you could find fingerprints at any location on that exterior vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. For instance, did you look at the driver's side rear quarter panel?
Yes, I did.
And were you able to lift a fingerprint from that location?
I was.
Okay. Were you able to lift fingerprints from the exterior passenger side front door
Yes.
and the front door area of the roof?
Yes.
Okay. Did you use the same process when you attempted to locate and preserve fingerprints from the interior of the vehicle that you described?
I did.
Okay. Let me show you on the screen what's in evidence as Exhibit P14. And do you recognize that as a view of the the interior of the front passenger door, including the glove box in front of the front passenger seat?
Yes.
Okay. Did you attempt to locate and preserve any fingerprints from the locations shown on this exhibit P14, to include the armrest or the window and the glove box, that whole area?
Yeah, that whole area, yeah.
Okay. Were you able to observe and lift and preserve any fingerprints from the locations shown on this photograph where a passenger might sit?
I believe I did.
Okay. From the interior?
From the interior. Just one of the items that was inside the glove box that is shown in that picture. But
Okay.
on the interior of the door, no, I did not lift it.
Interior of the door, no, and no surface of the automobile on the interior of this part of the compartment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You've indicated that you were able to identify, or not identify, but locate a fingerprint from an item in the glove box?
Correct.
All right. And what type of item was that, ma'am?
It was a cruise control box that was in the glove compartment.
Okay. In addition to obtaining lifts from that cruise control box in the glove box, did you also find, among other things, a Dell laptop computer on the floorboard of the rear passenger seat?
Yes, I did.
And is that shown in states P25?
Yes, it's at the top of the photograph,
Okay.
underneath the seat.
And were you able, in fact, to lift fingerprints from the Dell laptop and a Polaroid DVD player shown within this photograph?
Yes, I was able to lift 3 from each.
Okay. Among other locations in the interior, specifically, did you try to lift fingerprints from the surfaces of the interior driver's side front door, the interior driver's side rear door, the interior passenger front door, which you've already discussed, and the interior passenger side rear door?
Yes, I did.
Were you able to locate any fingerprints from the surface of the interior of any of those doors?
No, I was not.
Did you attempt to identify, or excuse me, to preserve and locate any fingerprints from the rear view mirror in the front of the vehicle? Page, this following page.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Or yes, I did photograph or fingerprint that.
Were you able to?
I didn't hear the numbers.
I didn't receive any latent prints from that, but I did fingerprint it.
You processed it, but you found no fingerprints?
Correct.
Okay. There was an interior sunroof on the vehicle, is that correct?
Yes, there was.
And were you able to obtain any fingerprints from that?
3 lifts were obtained from that.
All right. All right. What did you do with the lifts that you were able to preserve at that scene of the car?
Once I noticed that there's a lift, I put the tape down and I take the tape off of the surface. I put that onto a card, and then I put on the card where I located that print from. I mark it with the case number, all the case information, and once I get back to the office, I would put it into our latent development section, and they would do the comparison.
Okay. And that would be the last contact you would have with those fingerprints?
Yes, it would.
All right. So, by way of summary, is it correct that in your processing of the entire interior and exterior of that vehicle, you found on the surface of the vehicle itself 6 total fingerprints?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in addition to processing that vehicle for fingerprints, did you take any steps in an attempt to collect and preserve any biological substances from a surface of the vehicle or contents of the vehicle, that biological substances that might contain DNA for later laboratory testing?
Yes, I did.
What method did you use in an attempt to collect potential DNA from biological surfaces and biological substances from the surfaces of either the vehicle itself or the contents?
We would just use a basic cotton swab with distilled water.
Okay. Would you use a cotton swab for every surface, or what's the process? That was so vague. Let me start that over, ma'am. The cotton swabs you're talking about, are they individually packaged?
Yes, they are.
And are they individually packaged in such a way to maintain them as sterile and void of any contamination or other pre-existing DNA, perhaps?
Yes.
And would you use a separate swab on each specific location of surface or item of the vehicle or within the vehicle?
Yes, I would.
And did you take any precautions in an attempt to prevent you from contaminating the swab with DNA from your hands?
I used gloves the entire time I was processing the vehicle.
And if you observed a location on the vehicle that you later swabbed for potential DNA, what did you do with the swab that you used to swab that surface?
I put it into a sterilized box and I sealed it. And from there, I put it into evidence.
And as a crime scene technician, were you involved in the analysis or testing of swabs for DNA?
No, I was not.
Okay. To your knowledge, back in 2010, did Tampa Police Department have its own DNA lab solely dedicated to the analysis and testing of potential biological substances for DNA?
No, they didn't.
From your experience, if you know, did Tampa Police Department rely upon, among other things, the local Florida Department of Law Enforcement laboratory for DNA purposes?
To the best of my knowledge, we would utilize FDLE.
Okay. And to your knowledge, if you know, at that time, in addition to FDLE, did Tampa Police Department, on occasion, also utilize private laboratories such as DNA International laboratories for the testing of potential biological substances?
I don't have any knowledge of that.
Okay. Let me show you, ma'am, what has been marked for identification as Exhibits Q and X. Q I'm handing to you now, and X I'll put to your right. If you could remove the contents and examine them to see if you're familiar with them or recognize the contents that comprise those exhibits, Q and X.
These were two of the swabs that I collected from the processing of the vehicle.